Every year, 32 teams start the NFL regular season, but only 2 make the Super Bowl. Why is it always the same teams that make the Super Bowl? And why do the others never break through? There's many answers to this question. Only quarterbacks like Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes can really lead a team to a championship. Or maybe defense wins championships, and teams like the Legion of Boom under Richard Sherman, or the Broncos in 2015 with Von Miller. Maybe it's coaching, and Bill Belichick, Doug Peterson, Andy Reid, Pete Carroll. These are the coaches that win championships. Some people say what really makes a championship team starts way before the season, in April and before, with trades and drafts and signings. And finally, some people will say it's luck. How did the Eagles win a championship with Nick Foles? Luck. How did Eli Manning beat Tom Brady twice? Luck. Or how does Patrick Mahomes beat Josh Allen in the final seconds every championship game? Luck. By the end of this video, we will make it clear what makes a championship team and why the same teams make it to the Super Bowl every year, while others never do. The first thing we're going to look at on what makes a Super Bowl winning team is the quarterback. Many say the quarterback is the hardest position in all of sports. He's the captain of the offense, the leader of the team, but how much does he really affect whether a team makes the Super Bowl and wins or whether they don't? Since 1966, there have been 59 Super Bowls. And out of those 59 Super Bowls, there have only been 34 Super Bowl winning quarterbacks. But did these quarterbacks win because their teams were good or because they were good? In 2006, ESPN came out with an advanced statistic called QBR, which accounts for passing plays, QB rushing and scrambling, sacks, turnovers, down, distance, score, and time remaining, as well as the strength of their opponents. In the 19 years since the invention of the QBR, 10 of the 19 Super Bowl winning quarterbacks have been in the top 6 for QBR during the regular season. The names of these quarterbacks include Peyton Manning in 2006, Drew Brees in 2009, Aaron Rodgers in 2010, Tom Brady in 2014, Tom Brady in 2016, Patrick Mahomes in 2019 and 2022, Matthew Stafford in 2021, and soon to be Matthew Stafford or Drake May in 2025. This means that if your team wins the Super Bowl, there is a 52% chance that your quarterback finished in the top 6 of the entire NFL in QBR. Now, some people may be frustrated by this, saying this only proves that there's a 50% chance your quarterback is statistically a good quarterback. And there can be problems with that because statistical quarterbacks aren't necessarily playoff winning, Super Bowl winning quarterbacks. Great examples of this are Tony Romo or Kirk Cousins. But while these quarterbacks are statistically promising, they are not MVP caliber players. So of course, I had to find out how many quarterbacks have won the Super Bowl and are MVP caliber players. It turns out that 47% of Super Bowls have been won by quarterbacks who have won the MVP in either that year or years prior or years to come. These quarterbacks are also very familiar, like Terry Bradshaw or Joe Montana, Brett Favre, and Tom Brady. This proves that not only is 50% of the time the Super Bowl winning quarterback a statistical master, but he's also an MVP caliber player. Now, of course, these numbers aren't overwhelming. They are certainly high. 50% is a large percentage. And now that we know that having an MVP caliber level quarterback is incredibly important, let's look at what else is incredibly important and see just why some teams keep making the Super Bowl and keep winning it. Arguably just as important, if not more important, than the quarterback is the head coach. But how much does he affect the Super Bowl? The problem with this question is it's very hard to quantify. Coaches don't exactly have statistics like passing yards or interceptions. There's penalties, but how much of that is really their fault? The only statistic that can really quantify coaching is win percentage. percentage. The winningest coaches of all time is an interesting list. There's a lot of modern coaches, but some older ones. Some that you maybe never heard of, like Ray Flaherty or George Halas. But there's many that are very recent, like Nick Sirianni and Sean McDermott. But even while this statistic may seem rock solid, because certainly the better coaches will win and the worst coaches will lose, right? But it's really not that simple. Many people consider Bill Belichick to be the greatest coach of all time. And when you check his win percentage, they seem to be correct. Bill Belichick, over the course of his career, won 64% of his games. That means that if you could bet on Bill Belichick with unweighted odds throughout his entire career, you could be as rich as you want to be. But this understanding and this logic that comes from win percentage is broken down when you think about specifically the quarterbacks that helped these coaches. When coaching Tom Brady, Bill Belichick had a 75% win percentage. But when he wasn't coaching Tom Brady, Bill Belichick had a 48% win percentage. Now, many people hear this and they jump the gun. They say that Bill Belichick was only a good coach because of Tom Brady. But that just isn't true. Bill Belichick had a few good quarterbacks other than Tom Brady, but they really weren't great. If any head coach in the NFL or any former head coach was given the New York Jets right now to coach in the 2026-2027 season, they would have a losing record. The head coach and his players are consequently linked. And while that may make it unclear whether the coach is contributing more to this winning percentage or the players, one thing is definitely clear. Bad coaches do not win the Super Bowl. Over the last 59 Super Bowls, there has not been a single coach who has won, who has also had a win percentage under 53% for his entire career. That means that over 60% of all the coaches who have ever been a head coach in the NFL never had a chance at winning the Super Bowl. Furthermore, while the lowest win percentage of an NFL head coach to win the Super Bowl was 53 by Mike McCarthy in Super Bowl 45, the average win percentage of an NFL coach to win the Super Bowl is 61%. To shoot below this average would statistically mean that over 80% of all the NFL head coaches never had a chance at winning the Super Bowl. So while it may not be clear the greatness your coach needs to win your team a Super Bowl, it is clear that bad coaches do not win Super Bowls. Which, while maybe incredibly obvious to all of us fans, seems to be unclear to over half the National Football League because half of those organizations have absolutely dog water head coaches, which is ridiculous when you consider that a man who has never had a losing NFL season is currently sitting on his couch unemployed. So far, we've shown that your statistics improve tremendously when you have a great quarterback. We've also shown that teams with bad coaches cannot make and cannot win the Super Bowl. But there's one more missing piece that we haven't touched on yet. The last aspect we need to speak about in this video is defense. Some people say defense wins championships. That's just a thing of the past. Those people would be wrong. The last 3 Super Bowl winners, including this year's Seahawks, have had top 5 defenses. Furthermore, in the last 30 years, 58% of the teams that won the Super Bowl had a top 5 defense throughout the regular season. That means that teams that won the Super Bowl had an even higher chance of having a top 5 defense than they did of having an MVP caliber quarterback. There are clear instances the last few years of defenses being the main reason teams won the Super Bowl. The Legion of Boom in 2013, Von Miller and the Broncos in 2015, and just a few days ago with the Seahawks defeating the Patriots in Super Bowl 60. Super Bowl winning defenses are not a thing of the past. And so far, they have the strongest correlation to a Super Bowl winning team. But now that we've covered the 3 main things that control a team winning the Super Bowl, let's make our conclusion. Throughout this video, we've seen how coaching, quarterbacks, and defenses strongly correlate to Super Bowl winning teams. However, even though we've seen high 50% statistics across the board, having a top 5 defense, an MVP caliber QB, and a great coach do not mean you will win the Super Bowl. The best proofs of this have been the Rams and the Bills over the last decade. Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen have both won MVPs, Lamar winning multiple MVPs. Both teams have great head coaches, and their defenses have been in the top 5 multiple times in the last decade. But neither team not only hasn't won the Super Bowl, they haven't even made the Super Bowl. And while these teams that have had MVP quarterbacks and top 5 defenses haven't made the Super Bowl, there have been multiple teams that have either only had a top 5 defense or only had an MVP quarterback that have beaten them and made the Super Bowl. There's even been a team that didn't have a top 5 defense and did not have an MVP caliber quarterback and won the Super Bowl, that being Eli Manning and the Giants in 2011. So while having a great defense and a great quarterback help, they do not guarantee winning the Super Bowl or even making the Super Bowl, even if you have both. Now, this video may seem purposeless. Sure, there were a few statistics that were helpful to know, but really, there's nothing to conclude. We still don't know why teams win Super Bowls. But luckily, that's not what this video was trying to answer. This video was trying to answer why certain teams make Super Bowls and why they make them consistently. And that does have answers. Starting in Super Bowl 21, there has been a clear pattern on why certain teams keep making the Super Bowl. From Super Bowl 21 to Super Bowl 24, the Broncos made the Super Bowl 3 out of those 4 years. From Super Bowl 25 to Super Bowl 28, the Bills made the Super Bowl 4 out of those 4 years. From Super Bowl 27 to Super Bowl 30, the Cowboys made the Super Bowl 3 years out of those 4 years. From Super Bowl 31 to Super Bowl 33, the Broncos and the Packers made 2 out of the 3 Super Bowls. From 34 to 36, the Rams made 2 out of the 3 Super Bowls. From Super Bowl 36 to Super Bowl 53, the Patriots made 9 out of those 18 Super Bowls. And from Super Bowl 54 to Super Bowl 59, the Chiefs have made 5 out of those 6 Super Bowls. The common denominator between all of these different teams and their different runs, their quarterbacks. The Broncos had John Elway, the Bills, Jim Kelly, the Cowboys, Troy Aikman, the Packers, Brett Favre, the Rams, Kurt Warner, the Patriots, Tom Brady, and the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes. Earlier in the video, we talked about how there have been 59 Super Bowls, but only 34 Super Bowl winning quarterbacks. These quarterbacks are the reason that number is so low. They may not have had the best statistical years. They may not have been MVPs when they made it to the Super Bowl, but they were and are the best quarterbacks at winning. And they are the reason that we see the same teams in the Super Bowl year after year. Thank you all for watching my first ever YouTube video. If you enjoyed this video, check out the other videos on the channel. I will be posting at 12 p.m. every Saturday. And on this video in particular, I'll be responding to every comment that starts with, "Hey Indy." Give me your hottest takes, why you think the video was dead wrong, future video ideas and videos that you want to see, and why 9 will be the best quarterback ever in the history of the NFL. Until next time.